Within 24 hours, the second round of the Democratic primary debates are going to kick off. According to a poll by The Economist and YouGov, Senator Bernie Sanders holds the lead among 18 to 29-year-old voters, followed by Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
So how important are the debates when choosing the Democratic nominee? According to the same poll, a majority of voters across all age groups said a candidate's debate performance is somewhat or very important, while less than 30% believe the debates are significant. Joining us for a broad discussion about the Democratic debates and debate prep is Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha. He's a senior advisor for Bernie Sanders' 2020 campaign, and he's joined by Democratic strategist Jennifer Holdsworth. She's a Buttigieg surrogate and was Pete Buttigieg's campaign manager during his run for chair of the DNC, which put him on the map.
Is he really glad that he lost that race?
Yeah,
I've been thinking about that.
I'm really glad about that. And he didn't lose.
Yeah.
We dropped out.
That's right.
Good
right.
point.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you for
so
that.
I mean, this is a great panel because this is a preview of the debates that are coming up. Both your candidates will be facing off face to face. I mean, just an opening statement from both of you, really, on like what is the core message that they're trying to get out throughout the debate for Mayor Pete, Jen?
A new generation of leadership, using ideas that have worked and presenting new ideas, unification, bringing not just the party but the country together, moving past 2016, which we all believe that we're still stuck in that cycle. Even the president tweets about it constantly. Moving past and really looking towards the future of America by fixing the problems that we face today.
What about you, Chuck?
You know, there's a lot of Americans out there who feel like they don't have a voice in their government anymore, right? And I think Bernie Sanders speaks to them specifically. Like, you're out there, you're working hard every day, and you feel like if you're not rich, if you don't have a lobbyist, if you're not a big wig in a corporation or work on Wall Street, that what is my government doing for me? And I think that's the message we're going to be talking about tomorrow night. That's why this week you've seen us hitting Medicare for all, talking about college affordability, getting rid of college debt, like things that regular folks talk about every day at their dinner table. Totally. That's the conversation we want to have. And in America, where you see such visceralness in this White House and such hatefulness, we want to talk about, as a broad group of Democrats, about what is our vision, and each one of these candidates will lay out their vision tomorrow night.
So there's kind of an implicit critique in what my lovely friend Jen said there about the future, about moving past 2016. Mayor Pete has obviously run on this idea of generational change. What do you say to that?
I think that there has to be change at every level of this government. I think that's why Bernie Sanders leads with young people, because we give them a vision they can believe in. That's no angst towards any other candidate. Any of these candidates out there that are talking about a new day in America is a good thing. You should watch the debates tonight, and you should watch the way, tomorrow night, watch the way that we talk about the policies that really affect it. The reason young people flock to Bernie Sanders when we're out on the road and into these polls is because he has a bold vision of doing something big. We don't do anything big anymore. Right now we sit and we fight over little things in Congress and don't have any big ideas, and that's why Bernie Sanders speaks to these young people.
And I think, Jen, what this is about, I mean, they both agree that the system is bad, but the Mayor Pete's vision is very much an institutionalist, which is working within the system to enact radical change in how you would view it. The Bernie Sanders vision of this is completely the opposite. So why is it that the Mayor Pete strategy is better here?
Because Mayor Pete is not just speaking to the left. He's not just speaking to the Democratic Party. He's not just speaking to the base. While they're a very important part of the general electorate, he needs to be speaking to everybody, because right now everything is so polarized that you have to make sure that you're inviting people to listen to your message no matter where they are, and that starts now. Yes, it's a primary election right now. Yes, the debates are among just Democrats, liberals, and progressives right now. But there's pretty much everybody paying attention right now, right? And so you need to make sure that you have a message that's resonating with everyone to start to get them to want to vote for you.
Jen,
So
why do you think, though, that Mayor Pete has struggled to attract support, in particular for African Americans, so key in the Democratic electorate? And also, why do you think it is that Bernie Sanders, when he is the most ideologically left of the candidates, but he has the second strongest support of any of the candidates after Joe Biden among moderate and conservative Democrats? What do you think is going on there?
I think that there's generally a portion. The reason why Mayor Pete and Senator Sanders are doing well in the polls is because there's a general part of the Democratic Party who's tired of the same old as well. Right? But in terms of Mayor Pete, he has struggled with certain sections of the electorate because, number one, he's not very well known. right? He came out of nowhere. He's been the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, which is a city of 100,000 people. He's not very well known. And yes, we had an incredible run for the chair of the DNC because we wanted to affect real change from within the system because he believes in it. He believes in America. He believes in American government. He also believes that not everybody has had an appropriate voice in this process, which is one of the reasons why he's running. But I think that you're going to see, as you have seen, his struggle with certain sectors completely change once he's had the chance to address them.
So implicit in this, Chuck, is a critique of Bernie Sanders that he's not electable, that he's not somebody that can appeal to the broad base of support. They say because he's a socialist or because he's too far left. What's the response to that?
Well, if you read any of the last 5 head-to-head polls, we beat Donald Trump in every state as we move forward. You've seen there was a poll out this morning that right behind Joe Biden, us and Joe Biden are the only ones who beat Donald Trump. You know, I want to go back to what we've talked about the audience and about everybody caring. And my sister's right, Jen, that there's a lot of attention on this, but we should stay really, really focused on how campaigns work. And I love getting down in the nitty gritty because this is what I do. But there's a super small group of people who matter the most. There's millions and hundreds of millions of people out there that may watch or pay attention, but there's only a couple 100,000 people that will really make a difference early on in this election that will set the tone for the entire thing. You're talking about 180,000 people caucusing in Iowa, a couple 100,000 people voting in New Hampshire. You're talking about another really small caucus in Nevada. Those contests with that really small group of people who are paying attention because they're Democratic activists or Democratic primary voters are going to make the difference to where by the time we get to California, which is just a few weeks after Iowa, this thing could be over, or at least I promise you it'll be whittled down to 2 or 3 people.
Yes, I agree with you.
Interesting.
I think an important part of that conversation also, though, is, you know, we look at the polling and it's a horse race right now. It seems that some candidates have ceilings, and, you know, with all due respect to the senator, it appears that he has a ceiling below 20%. He has a very high name recognition. He ran in 2016. He is a known commodity across this country. There's multiple candidates, including Mayor Pete, that are just introducing themselves to the primary electorate, and as they do that, their ceiling's getting higher and higher and higher. So we're not currently at a place where we can accurately predict how that's going to change. The other thing that we really need to look at is that there's several polls that have come out that said, okay, who's your first and second choice, but who will you absolutely not consider as the nominee? And Bernie Sanders leads that poll.
Chuck, your response to that?
The poll you should be paying attention to is who's raising the most money and where is that money coming from?
And it's Mayor
because
Pete.
the people that will be for the long term, you know, we have 2 million different contributions into our campaign, right? We're built on grassroots fundraising. There's no Wall Street, there's no big donors part of it. So we can sustain a long campaign, right? People will go up and they'll go down in these polls that all the pundits love to gravitate towards, like little kids chasing a soccer ball.
Yeah.
But as Mama Bear, who's been watching those kids for a long time, you got to stay focused on the long game here, right? And we're building out the infrastructure that we've talked about on this campaign.
Yes.
You can be the latest flash in the pan, you can raise money here, you can have this great debate performance. But whoever raises the most money and can sustain that over a long period of time and build infrastructure in the state of talking to a small group of people, those will be the people that will be here at the end.
How
I'm
do
glad
you
you brought
convince
that up.
people that, Mayor Pete, you're absolutely right, fundraising machine, right? The amount of money that's come in has been incredible. But Chuck points out rightly that it also matters where that money comes from. So how do you convince voters in the Midwest, voters across the country, that Mayor Pete is going to stand with them when he's so financially backed by Wall Street and Silicon Valley?
Because that's just a very small portion of his fundraising. When you look at the broad diversity of where his fundraising come from, it's all over the map. It's all over the United States. It's every state. It's every age range. And the reason why Mayor Pete is getting donations from Silicon Valley and Wall Street is because that he has worked with them as the mayor of a small Midwestern city that he has brought back to life, and they've seen the way he operates as an executive, and he has brought them in to invest in his own community. Mayor Pete doesn't have an election fund to loan his presidential campaign money from. He doesn't have personal money that he's going to loan his campaign money from, with all due respect, like Senator Sanders does.
So though
he didn't start by voting on bills for people that donated to his campaign in the past. He doesn't have that kind of infrastructure, so he has to start from scratch of people that know how he operates as an executive, and he's building a broad coalition.
I get that, though, but is the fundamental view that partnership with Wall Street and with Silicon Valley is a positive thing for the country?
I think that it is if they're going to invest in places in this country that need it. If it means that you're going to vote on a bill that they put up, then absolutely not. But I think we need to stop demonizing people that are trying to make this country better and demonize the ones that are hurting it. So I think we need to consider everybody as an individual. I think that we need to make sure that we are investing in places that need investment. But again, this is not about voting on bills. He doesn't have a legislative history of, doing favors for Wall Street and Silicon Valley. The only interaction that he's had with those two sectors is when he brought them to his town to make it better. And I think that's a big indicator of how he would work as president.
So, please, this
ahead,
is obviously a major philosophical difference.
Bernie Sanders says, I welcome their hatred.
I welcome their hatred, and he would say that if you're bringing money into my town, I don't trust where that money's coming from, and I don't trust what it's going to do. Yeah.
2 million individual contributions. 99.3% of them can give money again. That means they're not maxed out, right? That is where you should pay attention to where the campaigns will be going for the long term. Our number one contributor, employer, are Walmart workers. Our number two, these are not a couple hundred people. These are hundreds of thousands of people. Our number two contributor are teachers. That's who we want to fund our campaign. That's who we want to talk to. And I mean, no disrespect to the mayor, any other Democratic candidate. You should go raise the money wherever you can go raise the money, and let's have a debate. Let's have a fight about a vision for America, and that's what we want to do.
What do you say about this idea of a ceiling? Because you hear this a lot, that Bernie Sanders has a ceiling and the ceiling's not high enough. Yes, his people are with them, but there aren't enough of them.
Look, I was with the senator in 2015 when we kicked this thing off on the Senate, when we may have had 14 reporters over the whole country cover us, and we had a ceiling then. Nobody would have ever dreamed we would have taken a senator from Vermont and done what we did by winning 23 people against literally the machine of the Democratic Party, right? We may have a ceiling. My information says that we don't have a ceiling at all, because ceilings are false narratives when you think about politics. Again, I harp on this because it's the mundane part of campaigns. Is you're going to see people go up and you're going to see people go down, and we're going to report it, and we're going to walk around. If I had hair, my hair would be on fire, all the above, right? But look at the long term of where these people go, right?
Yep.
And where they go with issue sets, where they get their money from, and who has the money to sustain a long-term battle.
All right, let's do
words,
debate
Jen.
prediction. We got to go, but let's do debate prediction, and then we'll wrap.
I do think that the fundraising conversation is a little bit of a beltway conversation. It's a pundit conversation. When Mayor Pete is going around the country, nobody's asking him how he's fundraising or where his money is coming from, or what his average donation is. They want to know not how this fundraising is going to make his life better, but how he's going to make their life better. And that's what he's focused on in terms of this conversation.
Yeah.
And in terms of competition, I think it's also about how you're going to spend your money, right? Whether you're going to support your workers, whether you're going to pay them a living wage and not cut their hours in your own campaign. I think that this is an extremely important conversation to have, because it reflects how you're going to act as president. But in terms of a debate prediction, I think you're going to see Senator Sanders and Senator Warren sort of battle over the left, and Mayor Pete is going to come out looking like the adult in the room, because he's going to have the most new ideas and talk to the generation and talk to the people instead of each other.
Chuck, obviously, a response first to that, the comments about the living wage that's roiled the OM campaign, and then a debate prediction for you as well.
Well, I'm really proud that I built out this campaign with a group of talented people. I spent 30 years in the labor movement, worked in a factory in Tyler, Texas. When I built out the equity on every position within this campaign, I did it with the heart and strive of thinking about my father working in that mill. Every state director, no matter what color you are, no matter what sex you are, makes the same thing. Every field director in every campaign makes the same thing. If you're an intern in our international office here in our national office here in DC.
I think that's illegal.
That's the union throwback right there.
Or a Freudian slip.
It's from working with my hands, which is a unique concept in our business. Our interns make $20 an hour, and they have full health care benefits, right? That pay equity is something that we've strived for. And if you read this latest article that came out, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, we have the highest pay of anybody. We're proud of what we've built with our employees. We want to make sure and empower them at every level. I get emotional about that because it means a lot to me, because I've been in so many campaigns where so many campaign workers were treated differently because they were a woman, because they were brown, because they weren't somebody's friend, and it wasn't right. So we built this out very forward-facing to be sure that we're going to be open, and we're going to have an open process. And when you have an open process, we welcome everybody's input into that. And sometimes it ain't always everything great, right? But we have been very transparent, and we love our workers, and they have built a campaign that I'm so proud of. Now, tomorrow night, I think that Bernie Sanders is going to do a good job. I think we're going to have a great night. I think the thing I would look for in working with candidates for a long time is who's going to come after who, because everybody
Yeah.
saw what Senator Harris did and they thought that's their recipe for success. And so I think
Especially
that'll
the
be what
people who are
happens.
on the
And who's
edge.
best prepared to take on those battles will be the
Absolutely.
story of the night.
Well, thank you so much to you
Guys,
both. Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Good luck. We're going to have more Rising after this.